Hey, what's going on, you guys? John here. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 biggest tricks that contractors use to rip off real estate investors. I'm going to share this because if you're watching this, you're more than likely either a real estate investor already or soon to be a real estate investor. So I want to highlight these 3 tricks to make sure that you don't lose a dime on your next flip or remodel. So with all that said, trick number 1, and this is not even a part of, this is a bonus trick, is that you get the referral from someone that's worked with them in the past. And this happened to me recently. On the wrong side of the coin, I was actually the one that gave the referral, and it was based on my experience with this contractor. They worked for me, did an incredible job on time, and the price was what it was. We agreed upon it, and it was just a good, seamless experience. It was good. So my friend asked me, hey, you have a referral? And I said, sure. And I gave the referral to them. Although I said, get a couple other quotes and make sure you use the right one, I don't know if they did. They just went and hired that contractor. So the contractor came over to my friend's house and said, yeah, I can do the job. It's going to cost $150,000. It's going to take about 3 months to do the work. My friend said that's completely fine. Ended up taking 9 months to do the work, 3 times longer. And the reason it did was because the contractor not only wanted the job, it's $150K. Contractor's probably making 50 or 75, maybe $100K profit on this job, but ended up taking the job and then taking 2 or 3 other jobs during that timeline. And then that contractor spreading out his guys across all these other jobs. And what ends up happening? My friend gets big time delays. And the contractor doesn't care that my friend has a huge hard money loan on the property and that it's costing him 10% interest on this. He doesn't care because he already solidified and locked in his agreement. So my friend was going to fight him back and forth in terms of, how much he should be earning and this and that. But at the end of the day, he's locked in, and my friend ended up losing money. It wasn't as successful as he envisioned the property to be. He still profited, he still made money, but he would have made a hell of a lot more money had he not went with that specific contractor. So do not hire a contractor strictly because you have a friend or family member or a business partner, anyone that refers and says, hey, use this contractor. Always get multiple quotes. What I personally like to do is I'll drive a neighborhood that I'm working in. I'll look at comparable properties that are like mine that are under construction, and I'll go there 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, and I'll look for the ones under construction. At that time, the gate's wide open. I walk right in. I'm looking to talk to the framer, the electrician, the plumber. I'm looking to talk to the vendors specifically. I'm not looking to talk to their boss. I want to talk to the actual laborers, the actual vendors themselves. And I want to get a vibe on their personality. I want to see the work that they're doing. I want to see, overall, if I like them, if I'd even want to do a deal with them. And after I've chosen a few different people, then what I do is I'll invite them over to the property one at a time from different projects. So I'll have 3 or 4 different quotes come in. And then what I'm doing is I'm looking to gauge to see if they're trying to rip me off. Because what they're going to ask is, so why do you want to do this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? They're trying to pry and pull as much information out of me as possible to see how much I know. Because the less that I know, the more advantage they can take of me. So make sure you know your stuff when you're talking to a contractor, and never go with the lowest quote. Because you'll have some contractors in there, it'll be a $5,000 job, and they'll quote you $3,000 or $3,500 only to get into the job and then say it's going to take longer, or they didn't foresee this problem or that problem, trying to then increase the price on you. So never just go with the lowest quote. And never go with the highest quote either, because the highest quote, they might just be throwing this number out there thinking you don't know what you're talking about or knowing what you're doing. Like, for example, if it's a $10,000 job, right? They say it's a $10,000 job, and you know that the parts are $3,000. The materials, maybe it's a plumbing job, it's only $2,000, $3,000, and you know it's only going to take them a few days to do the work. Ask them, how did they factor in $7,000 in addition to the materials for the work? Because let's face it, most doctors are making $100,000, $200,000 a year. They're only making a couple $100 a day. How is this person going to make $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 a day to do the work? It doesn't make sense. So don't overpay for work to be done. And the next rule, and this is really important, is be cautious with how much you're giving them up front. A lot of contractors will say, hey, I need 30% or 50% to get the job done. And then you give them 30% or 50%, they end up taking your money and they're out. They're gone. They're running away with your money. And the reason they're doing it is because at the end of the job, they'd be lucky to walk with 30% or 50% profit anyway. So why do all the work and walk away with the same amount of money? So then they're gone. They leave, they take the money, and now you're trying to chase them. You're like, okay, now I'm going to get you. I'm going to go to small claims court. I'm going to get an attorney. Then you realize, good luck serving them, and good luck really getting your money back. Because after you hire an attorney, you're going to spend $300, $500 an hour pursuing this contractor, knowing that this contractor is likely broke anyway. Probably the money's already gone, and you're not going to get your money back. So with all that said, never, ever, ever write a big check up front. Ever. They're going to tell you they need money to pay their guys. They need money for the materials. They need money for every reason. And if they can get it out of you, they're going to get it out of you, and they're out. So always what I do is I'll give them a small amount of money every single day, or maybe every other day I'll stop by and give them some money. But at the end, I always want them chasing me for money. I never want to chase them for work. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll leave all the profit that they're going to potentially earn for the end. So I'll give them like $100 or $150 a day, and then at the end, they'll make the majority lion's share of the profit. And I'll incentivize them to stay on a schedule. So I'll say, okay, great. So if we finish this by Friday, we finish this by next week, then we'll do this deal or this deal. And I incentivize everyone to do what I want to do to keep the property moving. Because I have expenses on the property, and I'm sure you have expenses on the property. Everyone has expenses, so incentivize the team to do well. That's why if you look at a lot of these really, really ambitious companies, they incentivize the entire group to do what's best for the organization, for the company. You should be doing the same thing with the contractors. So with all that said, right now flipping houses, it's a little riskier than it was a few years ago. Now the interest rates are really low, so with that being said, it's attractive to borrow money. But we're also stepping into a different time. Politically, the world's changing, and the market might not be as secure as it was 6 months ago or a year ago, a couple years ago. So when I'm out there, I'm looking for properties that make sense, and I want to factor in like a 10 or a 15% discount factor, meaning that if you're buying a property and the property is worth $200,000, try to at least factor in 15,000 or 15% or 20% or whatever it is on top of your construction repairs. Then I also like to factor in a discount to the overall property in the event that the property were to go down in value. Say we run into a political issue or something happens, I want to hedge my bet on both sides of the equation, against the contractor, against the property's value. And I want to be really aggressive with the way that I'm pursuing deals. Now with contractors also, it's really interesting because these contractors are constantly working with other flippers, other people doing work and doing remodels. They might have other clients that have properties that they might want to sell or that they're looking at, or you're learning how they're finding deals, and you're kind of seeing where they're getting the materials from. You're learning. These contractors, they have a lot of information that can be highly valuable to you if you can just extract it in the right way. I'm not saying dive in and start interrogating them for information on the neighborhood, but over time, you want to learn as much as you possibly can from what the really successful clients are doing inside of your market. And I'm most curious about the neighborhoods that their clients are investing in, if they're really successful investors, which new neighborhoods they're investing in, and how they're scouting their deals, and how they're really negotiating and what their long-term plan is. Because the more that I can learn from my competitors, the better off ultimately I'm going to be, because you're only as good as the information that you have at your disposal. So with all that said, make sure you hire the right contractor. Make sure you do not pay too much money up front. Make sure you do not pay too much money for the job. And this also goes right off of that, don't pay too much money for the job. Don't pay too little for the job either. It has to incentivize them to do the work. They need to make money too. It has to be an exchange to where everyone is satisfied. And pay your guys on time. Pay your people on time and develop those relationships. Those relationships will pay huge dividends for you over the course of business that you guys share together. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much for watching.